Welcome to the Scoop World Order. Happy Friday, a beautiful day in Central Ohio. If you guys are around and about, get outside. It is beautiful. Gonna knock out a show tonight, a little quick one. Our 5 massive predictions for spring football are gonna come into fruition. I got a little bit of film to break down for you guys. Who's gonna step up? Who's gonna, make a move? This is always an exciting time because guys are frankly, this is a time where guys are trying to make their marks, and there's some clearance in front of them, which didn't exist last year with with a very old team, and those guys are off to the NFL, and it's time to kind of come out of the blocks sprinting and win the race for your starting position. So that being said, as always, we appreciate you guys being on here this Friday night. Again, I know a lot of you guys are probably out in the box. It is gorgeous out tonight. Thank God Ohio is getting the weather right now. So you guys around the country and around the world, hopefully you guys are having some of this great spring weather as well. But we're super excited. If you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, I appreciate you guys being with us each and every night. Every night is always a blast to kick it with you guys. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for paying it forward. Again, if you believe that you qualify for Pay It Forward, please send us a note. BuckeyeScoop@gmail.com. We will validate the credentials and we will get you guys signed up for a Pay It Forward membership to BuckeyeScoop.com. And also, finally, if you want to do something amazing for us, open up your iPhones, click on the podcast app, type in Buckeye Scoop, and click subscribe. It takes literally 10 seconds to do, and it's a major help to us. So we appreciate you guys that have done that, and all of you that are going to do that. So thank you. With that being said, gonna bring in my good friend Nevadabuck. Nevada, we talk like 1,000 hours a week about projections. What have we heard? Names that are popping out, names that are people we should monitor, stock we should buy, guys that looked good in winter workouts. And then we kind of come to the point where we're like, okay, let's make some predictions on spring practice. I mean, obviously this is 2 new coordinators. Obviously, Brian Hartline was the offensive coordinator 2 years ago. Now he's formerly the true offensive coordinator, the play caller, Matt Patricia. Where would you like to start? Give us number 5 in our 5 massive predictions for spring football.
I'm going to say number 5, and this is just based upon intel that I've been getting from the other. I like to listen to the other players because the players. I always say the players know who the players are, and if you get it from a number of players, you get it from some staff members, you get it from some insiders, you generally have a pretty good indicator of what's going on. I'm going to say that Arvell Reese is going to become like a household name by the end of spring ball. And I know he's a guy that played some for us last year. Obviously we had Cody Simon and Sonny manning the spots. Came in as that third linebacker, was kind of that occasional guy in terms of doing it. But man, they like him a lot. I mean, they like him a lot. And they've got some good young linebackers. It's a really talented linebacker room. James Laurinaitis has done a heck of a job in terms of upgrading the talent in the room. But Arvell, I just think he's a guy that, in a lot of ways, I think he can be even more effective than Sonny Styles. Because I think he's a little bit more instinctual, maybe not quite as athletic, doesn't have the blinding athleticism that Sonny does, but he has got instincts to burn, really knows the nose for the football, really knows where to go, spends a lot of time on the film room, very cerebral, fast processor. And as much as it hurts to lose Cody Simon. And Cody Simon was a great linebacker at Ohio State. Not good. He was a great linebacker at Ohio State. I think Arvell Reese is going to be a guy that's going to step in so admirably that by the end of spring ball, people are going to be like, I'm feeling good about our linebacker position heading into 2025, and I think we're going to be okay for that first big week 1 tilt against Texas. But Arvell Reese, household name by the end of spring ball. That's item number 5 for me.
That's funny. For number 4, I was going to go the emergence of CJ Hicks, because the thing that I think most people that are astute and pay attention to the show realize that, we got to figure out pass rush this year. I mean, pass rush is going to be something where I don't know if our edge guys can win at the rate that JT and Jack. I know that people are like, oh, Kirk, they never won on the edge. I was like, no, those guys are pretty good on the edge, along with Tyleek and some of the pressure stuff. And the way that CJ Hicks could be used, not just as an edge guy. I know he's moved to edge, but he's the guy that can walk around. And I've talked a lot about, some of the exotic schemes that you can run. because a lot of sacks, it's not just always the defensive end running around the tackle. A lot of it is Myles Garrett and Max Crosby and Nick Bosa and like the elite of the elite. That's what they do. But a lot of times it's just really good scheme. So I watch all of the all 22 tapes from every game. And I like, this time of the year when there's literally nothing to watch, I'll watch the fourth quarter of a lot of these games and I'll kind of, okay, this is when you get to see, kind of this year's team. Like, I mean, when you watch like the fourth quarter of the Purdue game, you're watching this year's defense. Essentially you're watching, Caden Curry, Kenyatta Jackson, Will Smith, CJ Hicks, Arvell Reese, Malik Hartford, they're all out there. So, I mean, for better or worse, like you're getting a look of like this year's defense because, all of the guys that were the tier 1 guys from last year, they're gone. So, but I found this look and this is something I always talk about how great defensive pressure scheme is so, difficult to go against and switching things and messing with offensive line and messing with the running backs in like a 6-man protection. And I love stuff like this because I remember how hard this stuff was to go against. So when you look at, the usual suspects that are here, here's CJ Hicks. Obviously he's down edge. Here's Arvell Reese. Here's Kenyatta. This is actually Hero Canoe. This is Will Smith Jr. This is Caden Curry. So you watch this, and this is actually a sack where CJ actually gets home. Excuse me, not a sack. It's just a pressure. But this is a very difficult thing to pick up for an offensive line. I mean, again, like even if this is coming, this is tough. So this is a 6-man pressure. And they decide that they're going to slide here. And you're going to put, these two guys are going to have these two guys manned up. And you're putting the back on CJ. So the back is on CJ Hicks. So now the problem with where CJ is like, this is a really funky look because you've got a guy in a gap, and then you have CJ also in the area. So this running back has no idea where he's going to blitz from or if he's going to go here. Who's going to fill the gaps up? They don't know. So you run this, and again, there's a lot of good here. So you can watch Will Smith Jr., who nobody's ever talked about, and he's a kid that I think needs to step up and have a big spring and be physical and be a rotational player, just demolishes this right tackle. Right tackle's feet are bad, but I mean, puts him right on his butt. So again, there's some power there. I like that. Again, when the offensive tackle, and that's the end of the play for you as the offensive tackle, that ain't great. But that's a good look by Will. You see, this is kind of designed for Kenyatta or CJ to get home. They run a little cross deal. So Arvell takes the tackle out, and these two guys have to switch this, but they're too slow. So you basically run like a little cross with Kenyatta and CJ. So, Kenyatta is probably the guy that is destined to get home here, but the back screws it up, and he ends up taking Kenyatta, and they leave CJ completely free. So again, this is very difficult to go against. This is some stuff like with Matt Patricia when he talks about the body types of like an Arvell Reese, a CJ Hicks, the long, Sonny Styles, these long, hyper giant linebackers that can do this kind of stuff, and they can blitz the interior and not be scared of running into a guard, or they could give a guard the business. This is some of the stuff I'm excited to see with CJ Hicks, because again, you could play him at end and they'll count him as an end, but all of a sudden when he's standing up and moving around, and he runs interior stuff, like this is tough on this back. I mean, this back, he can't really block a DN, and he definitely can't block CJ. Here they don't block either. But again, this is just some of the pressure package, because that's not, this isn't anything crazy hard. And again, this is 6-on-6. So they've got 6 blockers, counting the running back, and we've got six rushers, and our 6 beats their 6. So this isn't even, technically. I mean, it's a blitz, but I mean, it's 6-on-6. So we didn't have to bring an extra guy to get home. But I think that what Matt Patricia does with CJ and with Sonny and also with Arvell, just because those are 3 really big, really strong, really fast, kind of different body types than we've had at linebacker. Like, how does he use those guys? Because again, the benefit to him being at New England is that New England, they weren't scared to get rid of their best players to try to get ahead in the draft or get ahead of free agency or lighten the salary cap, whatever. I mean, they would trade. I bet you they traded Richard Seymour during training camp for 2 first-round picks. They traded Chandler Jones, who's one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. So when you're the coordinator and all of a sudden you're like, well, you just traded my best player. It's like you have to be ready to reconfigure things and get things squared away. And I think this is going to be really interesting to see what he does. But I think the lack of pass rush and the lack of depth at defensive end is going to be really interesting to see who emerges as a pass rusher. And I really think CJ, from the people I've talked to, different kid now. I mean, he's not, came in, a little attitude, totally different kid. He's kind of gone through this transformation in the last 3 years. And he knows that the clock is ticking. Like if he wants to keep playing football after Ohio State, he's got to play. He's got to go out there and do some stuff. So, but he's excited about the edge, and he's humongous now. I mean, he is packed on some muscle, and he's not little CJ anymore. He's a big dude. So excited to see I think his emergence will be one of the talks of camp, and it'll be interesting to see if he takes turns versus our backup tackles. And I'm sure he'll run with the ones too, but with the ones generally it'll be Kenyatta and Caden Curry, I'd imagine. But if you put a guy like CJ versus second string tackles, it can get ugly fast. So I think that his emergence will be very interesting. Nevada, third great prediction for spring practice.
I think that the other wide receiver. The story is going to be the other wide receivers, and I'm talking about the guys beyond, beyond JJ and Tate and Ennis. I think it's going to be the story of those guys, led obviously by Mylan Graham, but with some of the other younger guys that are, some of the incoming freshmen, some of the guys that have been around a little bit. I think it's going to be interesting because I think those guys have been the guys that have been catching the ball from Julian Sayin, and I've been saying this for a while. I think when you have that chemistry, when you've got that comfort with the quarterbacks, whether they be Lincoln, whether they be Julian or whomever, I think some of those guys are going to emerge, and I really think Brian Hartline, obviously being a pass first coordinator, is going to be moving the ball around. We're going to get to see it, but we're going to see somebody's going to come out of that group, out of the young guys that we're not talking about right now, that we're not featuring. That's going to be a guy, and I don't know who it is. I'm not, it's a pretty crowded, horse race right now. So I don't want to pick a horse, but there's going to be a horse that's going to come out of it. We're going to be like, wow, this guy's good. This guy's good. This guy's pushing for playing time. There's so much talent in that room, and I just have a feeling that the comfort with Julian is going to be such a thing, because I've just seen this before. I've seen this a million times where you have a quarterback coming in. We've got a quarterback coming in that doesn't have 39 starts under his belt like Will Howard, doesn't have a year of experience under his belt, like CJ Hicks or Justin Fields did in their second year. I mean, this is the new quarterback thing. This is Justin Fields in year one. This is CJ Hicks in year one. And when that happens, I think they'll have a connection with somebody that they've been throwing to, somebody that they've been comfortable with, somebody that that they understand how they run routes. They're comfortable looking to them, and they're going to start going to those guys. And I do not believe the Ohio State passing attack this year is going to be exclusively the big 3 plus Max Clare. I think it's going to be other guys. I think it's going to be a almost like a Cleveland Cavaliers depth type of approach when it comes to wide receiving in volume. And so that's what I think is going to be story number 3, is who emerges from that young pack of wide receivers to kind of step up to be number 4 and potentially push for playing time in the 2025 season.
Yeah, I think that's going to be that'll be fascinating, because we have a lot of really, really good, really, really high paid, really, really high flying receivers. And these guys all want to eat. I mean, those guys are all ready to eat. And, obviously JJ will work this spring, but he's not going to get overworked. And I think that's where a lot of these guys are going to get a lot of opportunity, because do you need to see JJ and Carnell out there, or do you let those guys kind of chill a little bit in the spring? I think you got to, obviously they're going to work. They'll scrimmage. They'll do their thing. But those guys, you just get those guys to the game. You don't need to worry about practicing those guys to death, which is great for guys like Mylan Graham, Quincy Porter. I mean, there's some guys that are going to be able to make some major moves, spring, summer-ish type guys. Innis, obviously, is a guy that can step up. But I think that we're going to see a lot of throwing. But my second prediction is, and this is going to be tough, but, could our line be better this year? I don't know. Our offensive line, that's something that I've been debating. I think in spring, you got to remember, like, guys like Luke Montgomery and Carson, they're used to going against Tyleek every day. And, as much as I love, and Caden's really good. And I think that our two interior guys are as good as it gets, but they're not as good as Tyleek was as a senior. So, I think our O-line's going to be the story. I think that, the big question is, Ethan Oniano, who was excellent as a pass protector, in his career at Rice, which again, it's Rice, it's not the Big Ten, but he was good for the level he was at. Can he hold up and be just as excellent here? And that's the whole reason he came here, is to kind of raise the game. And he's a guy that's gotten in better shape. And, Mickey's had his work cut out for him with the first, with the two transfer tackles, because they're big kids. And frankly, they weren't, I think that they were in, they were in good programs, but it's not the level of Ohio State. And even, we talked like with Seth McLaughlin last year, I talked about how much harder it was here as opposed to Bama. But our program's different and it's tough. And so I think the emergence of this offensive line and the conglomeration of Tyler Bowen, Marcus Johnson, Charlie Dickey, the new trio of line coaches, how do they work together? Because again, that's a different world now, man. The old days, it was, you had your O-line coach and your GA. And now you have three guys that were literally full-time line coaches last year. Obviously, Tyler was the offensive coordinator, but Marcus Johnson, he played against us at Purdue. I mean, it's funny when you're watching us, run that stunt, like the line coach on the other sideline for Purdue was Marcus Johnson, who's now one of our analysts. So, and Charlie Dickey was at Oklahoma State for a long time with Mike Gundy. So that's going to be fascinating to me, is how do the three of those guys work together under Tyler Bowen? Because again, those guys are both older guys, and Tyler's relatively young, but and how does Brian Hartline manage the running game? Because obviously he's going to lean a lot on Tyler Bowen, because Tyler's going to be the guy that's going to be down there. He's going to let him know what's good, what's not good, and what we need to call. And the development of the line is going to be exciting, like especially Ethan Oniano. I can't wait to see him at left tackle, see how he does as a potential pass blocker, because our pass blocking at left tackle last year was as good as we've ever had. I mean, really since like Orlando Pace left, but I mean, it was just stellar, with Donnie and with Josh Simmons. So do we get production near that? I think we do. And I think that we, as long as we run the ball, I've heard some really good stuff about some running backs. We have a nugget on buckeyescoop.com tomorrow, but I got some stuff that we're going to save for the Nuggets. But I think our running game is going to be deadly this year, and I'm really excited about that. Nevada, your final prediction as we wrap up our 5 predictions.
I'm going to go with my big one. This is my big prediction. I'm going to go with that Julian Sayin answers our quarterback questions by the end of spring football. That we don't have high anxiety about the quarterback position heading into 2025, and that he established himself as the clear number one, the heir apparent, and the guy that's going to lead the Buckeyes for at least the next couple of years. Hearing terrific things about him. I think he's he's a guy's, he's a little different. He's a California kid, but he can throw the ball. The ball just comes out of his hand really effortlessly, and moves around well in the pocket. Opportunistic runner, really smart kid. Maybe the smartest quarterback that we've ever had. So he's in the elite processing group of guys that can recognize what they're giving, can remember what other defenses have presented to you, and scoring high on all the written exams, on all the oral exams, going there, really dedicating himself to the film room. Not the biggest guy in the world, but look, we just saw Dylan Gabriel tear up the college football world at 5'10", and he's bigger than Dylan Gabriel. I can tell you that. He's not a big horse like Will Howard, but he's a different kind of quarterback, and boy, he can throw the football. I mean, he can throw the football with the best of them, and an opportunistic runner. I mean, he's an Aaron Rodgers type of scrambler, where if it's there, he'll take off and go with an average over 6.5 yards a carry in high school. So this is a guy that can run the football, can throw it. But that's my number one prediction for the spring, is that Julian grabs the reins of the quarterback position, establishes himself as the number one, and assuages people's fears that we're going to have bad quarterback play in 2025 and beyond, because he's going to be the guy.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I think that with the weapons we have and the way that we've revamped this offensive line, I think it makes a lot of sense to pick Julian Sayin. I think that a very underrated move by Ryan Day was promoting Billy Fessler. So there is total coordination between last year and this year. I think that there's always that kind of thought process of, do I go out and get the best guy possible? Do I do a big interview process? Do I want something to potentially shake up the room, or do I want to keep it where I know where it is? Keep it where it's at. Keep it. Promote a guy that's been loyal and has been a good worker, and a guy that frankly Chip Kelly really liked. A guy that Chip Kelly hired as his quarterbacks coach at UCLA last year. So I think that it was that was a huge hire for the development of Julian Sayin. I think that Ryan Day's had nightmares about making a bad hire, and it's hard. Obviously, it's glaring if you make a bad hire at certain positions. It's really glaring if you make a bad hire at coordinator, like you did with Kerry Combs. I think when you hire Billy Fessler, who came up in your system, knows the offense, Julian Sayin knows what he's getting. I think it keeps your most important player at ease. Your quarterback's always your most important player in every football team. I don't care what anybody says. If you don't have a quarterback, you're never going to win. And that was what was so important with Will Howard. I think Will Howard is obviously imperative in developing Julian Sayin, because Will Howard is literally the prototype on how to lead, how to be a pro, how to act, how to work, how to do everything. And his production was incredible. Obviously won the national championship. So that's the good thing for Julian, is he was shown exactly how to do it last year. He sat there for the whole year, was on every trip with Will, could learn from Will. And I cannot tell you how important that is. I think that when you've got a guy, because it's not always like, obviously we've never had a Will Howard, but it's like, it's not always, you get a bunch of young players and, they can figure it out and they can watch tape and they can, study what great quarterbacks do. But to have one in the room, doing the things that he did, I think that's huge. And I think it accelerates Julian Sayin's development rapidly, which I think will be great for us. And the other thing is, like, you look at who he's working with. I mean, you don't have to be some sort of cyborg quarterback to be productive when you've got Jeremiah Smith, Max Clare, Carnell Tate, James Peoples. I mean, the offensive line that's got two giant tackles. Like, it's gonna be fun to watch. And like I said, I just have these visions of Julian Sayin with Max Clare working the middle of the field, and how hard that'll be to go against on top of the deep shots with JJ. It's gonna be good. So I'm just super excited about it. I think it's gonna be fantastic. Nevada, as we are 3 days away, does this seem like this offseason has gone by? Well, probably because it's been the shortest offseason ever, but does it seem like it's gone by pretty quick since the national championship? I mean, time does fly, because I mean, it's already been a couple months since the championship, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it feels like the national champion game was like last week. And this has clearly been the shortest offseason on record, both in actuality and in perception. But I think that's just kind of the way it's going to be with two portal windows, with two signing days, with an extended college football playoff, with spring football. I mean, there's just really no downtime anymore, and so college football is it's even more round the clock than the NFL is. The NFL actually has an off season. In college football, you never have an off season. You're always and that's why it's so demanding on the staff. We've talked about why NFL jobs are more desirable than college jobs. It's because you can take a vacation in the NFL when the season's over. You can go to Antarctica for 10 days or if you want to or whatever. Not in college football. College football, it's you're always doing something. You're always recruiting the guys for the next one, or trying to keep guys on from being poached by another team or whatever you're doing. But it's exciting because last year at this time we had such a veteran team. It was more like I wanted to get through spring football and just not have any injuries. Just like, please don't have any injuries. Get us through to fall camp, and then let's get it on and try to win that national title like we did. This year, it's like, I want to see what these guys can do. And we have a lot of jobs that are open, a lot of talented kids that are chomping at the bit waiting for their turn. So, I have a different kind of, anxiety about spring football this year, and I'm excited about it for different reasons. But I just can't wait to see these guys on the field and see what they can do.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that when you have that much turnover, including your coordinators, a lot of questions, and you want to see who's going to step up, who's going to do what, who's going to win the position battles. Because last year there weren't really any position battles. It was more of a, let's, get through the thing and keep guys in bubble wrap. And, like I just said, there wasn't, it wasn't that it wasn't exciting, but you're just hoping that Jack Sawyer doesn't get hurt and JT doesn't get hurt. And, everyone was obviously excited about Will Howard being here and how does he look. But I mean, the funny thing, like during spring, Will was rotating with the 2s and 3s, and it didn't end up hurting us, but we were trying. Ryan was really trying to give everybody a shake. He had Julian and Sayin going with the first team, and obviously Devin was still here, and Lincoln Keen Holes. Everybody was kind of rotating through, but I just think that with the new tackles and the portal and the tight end room, which this is the best tight end room I think we've ever had. We've had guys. These guys have all played, like Bennett Christian, Will Kazmarek, Jelani Thurman, obviously Max Clare. That's as deep as we've easily ever had. To the point where, Patrick Gerd, who's a really good player, he actually transferred out and went to Cincinnati just because probably saw the writing on the wall with Max Clare. There's not a lot of room at the end at the tight end position. But I'm excited to see the tight end room, which I've never said in my life. Just because I think that Max Clare he's really special, and I think he's going to be a really, really good player for us, and he'll be an all Big Ten level-ish type tight end. So I just, it's crazy. I always laugh when I'm like, we lost so many players, yet we're still preseason number 1, just because of the transfer portal. When you've got gaping holes everywhere, you can patch them real quick. You can go out and get a left tackle from Rice, who's a monster. You can go out and get a tight end who's the best tight end in the country. You can go out and get, obviously we've been shopping for defensive linemen. I'm sure that Ryan Day, just because I've looked at the depth chart, I'm sure Ryan's looking for, another guy or two on the D line, just because we're thin. Losing Hero Canoe, who wasn't just a guy. Not a great player, but he was a guy. He's a guy that played for us last year. So you lose him along with the other guys. It's significant, along with Mitchell Melton, who again went to Virginia. And I don't fault any of these guys that want to go and be the surefire starters. I get that, but it dings our depth a little bit. So, but I'm just excited. I think this will be one of the greatest springs that we've had. And it really is going to be the emergence of Julian Sayin. I think that's going to be the number one prediction for this thing, because he's a special player, man. And the thing about now with the money and the NIL and these guys, when they go on spring break, some guys go and kick it, but a lot of these guys are going to training facilities. They're going to Exos in Arizona. They're going to training facilities in Los Angeles, and they're getting work in, which I think is really smart. When I had spring breaks as a player at Ohio State, I never went anywhere. I just stayed in the Woody and worked out every day, because you don't want to do all the training and mat drills and 6 a.m.s and then go on 5 days at Myrtle Beach and then come back and you feel like trash when you get ready for spring ball, because spring ball is everything. You got to make sure that you're sharp and ready to roll. And I think a lot of these guys are especially the guys that are fighting for spots, they've been training hard over the spring, which is good. Like I said, I think that there's a sharpness that comes to that, because these guys, they realize not just the value of potentially getting to the NFL, but if they have a big spring and they're balling, like I mean, they could get paid more by Ohio State, or they could get paid more elsewhere. I mean, it's just there's like immediate gratification if you stay sharp and roll. Nevada, I know that it's Friday, and I know that we have a relatively hard stop. So, do you have any final thoughts as we wrap the show up?
No, I'm really excited for spring ball. I normally aren't. I normally just kind of view it as kind of a rite of passage and want to get through. But this one, I really think it's going to set the trajectory for us in 2025, and we're going to know how many question marks that we have, and where the issues are, where the openings are. This especially Ron's first spring since winning the national title. And I think he's going to be a different guy. I think he's forever changed having won that national title. I think his press conferences will be different. I think the way he
Yeah.
handles everything about football is going to be different in the light of his reversal of fortune from December 1st of 2024 to March 17th, 2025 is pretty remarkable, because he is now immortalized in the lore of Ohio State football forever. And I think it's going to be such a positive change for him. It'll be interesting to see how that manifests itself in the way that he operates spring football. But I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think that getting that title is, I mean, obviously it's outside of his kids and his marriage and everything. Like, it's the greatest thing that'll ever happen to Ryan, because now he's out of there's always that bracket of he can't win the big one. He's never won the big one, because that's all dead now, which is great. I mean, that takes a gigantic burden off your shoulders. And obviously you want to win it every year, and it's going to be tough to win it every year. But he could win it again this year. I mean, there's not any gargantuan teams out there, I don't think, that we're going to run into. But I think that, his, demeanor, I think, is changed. Now, is he going to be ferocious and hungry for the second one? Of course. Does he want to get one more than Tressel and Urban and kind of move up to right behind Woody Hayes and Paul Brown? Yeah, of course. I mean, you have to. But I think that once you get that first one, and the way you can tell a lot of like the naysayers to kind of shove it, I think it's great for him, man. I love every minute of it, because there were some total morons that wanted him out. And like, I mean, when we kind of evaluated everything, like, I didn't think that Mike Vrabel was the right pick. I didn't think that Vrabel doesn't want to come back to college. He doesn't want to deal with NIL. I knew that. And he wanted to go to the Patriots, and he did. But I thought that Ryan was the best man for the job. I think he's got a great staff. I thought when we hired Matt Patricia, I thought it was going to be an absolute home run hire, and it seems like it has been thus far. Now, obviously, we haven't played yet, and as I've said 1,000 times, our defense is not going to be anywhere near as good as it was last year, just because we're not anywhere near as talented as we were last year. I don't think. No, I could be wrong, but I value guys like Cody Simon and Jack Sawyer and JT and Tyleek and Denzel and Lathan, and I think that those guys are really good players. Now, could we be as good? Sure. Will we be as good? I would bet a lot of money we're not going to be number one in total defense, because you can't go any higher than one. But I'm excited to see it, and I know that you are too, Nevada. Nevada, any thoughts on Matt Patricia as we wrap this thing? Because I think that he's had a huge impact in the Woody Hayes. I think people are excited to learn from a guy that's won 3 Super Bowls, players especially. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I mean, you talk to the guys, they're all like kind of in awe. I mean, the other staff members are kind of in awe. So I think it's, look, the bullets haven't started flying. The whatever hasn't started getting kicked up in the air, but they're all excited. I mean, they're all excited, and he's made a very good impression on everybody so far. And yeah, I think what we hope that he'd be able to do is come in and be respected for being, a experienced, successful guy from the NFL coming to college, and that's how he's been received. And he's just an exceedingly bright guy who's stepping into a tough spot. But if anybody could take this defense with these great raw material and and mold it into something that's close to what we were last year, it'd be a guy like Patricia. And I know the young defensive players are all excited to be with him. They've been really excited by their first interactions with them. and the other staff members are excited. And that was the really important thing, because we didn't want to destroy staff cohesion. We didn't want, OG Walt and Larry and Matt and James to be, feel slighted by this. And I think Ryan was able to thread the needle with this hire, and I'm as excited about that as I am about his interactions with the players, because happy staff, it's going to be good on that side of the ball, and I think we'll be as good as we can possibly be in 2025 with Matt Patricia at the helm.
I'm just going to be glad that Jim Knowles is going to be there to have steel cage matches with Larry Johnson every week. Nevada.
Oh boy, yeah, right.
that was
the
great.
story.
That was the best.
Well,
Jim
the funny
Knowles.
thing is that it wasn't true. I mean, the friction was between Jim Knowles and Ryan Day, for Ryan asking him to keep switching the defense. Switch, be more aggressive, be less aggressive, be more aggressive, be less aggressive, and I think that was frustrating for Jim. But it was never a Larry thing. That was coming from another guy inside there that likes to kind of cause that kind of campus intrigue with Larry. But no, Larry's just he's an old guy who's a guy that's kind of set in his ways, established himself at Ohio State and at the college football level, and that's to be respected. But he really wasn't a problem, and I don't think it's going to be a problem for Matt. Matt's dealt with old birds like that before, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think he's going to do great. All right, any final thoughts about it? Wrap this thing up.
No, excited for spring ball. Can't wait to get at it, and got a great nugget on BuckeyeScoop.com coming tomorrow. So stay tuned.
All right. I appreciate you guys. A little early tonight. I got some dinner plans, so I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope you guys are enjoying some good company tonight on this Friday evening. It's a beautiful day in Ohio, so I hope you guys had a great one. Oh, we got a super chat as the buzzer is going, so I appreciate you, Nick. All right. Let's see. That's funny. Nick, I appreciate you. It says, I name dropped Nevadabuck back at 11 Warriors with his report last evening. I got a few dozen helmet stickers for it. At least a few people there don't hate him. So that's about it. Yeah, I mean, there's people that we're very polarizing. We know that. And I don't know if we'll ever survive if everybody doesn't like us, but people seem to like to watch the show. So yeah, like I said, I don't really read any of the other boards, but they all do their own thing and they all got their constituents. And there's some people that like to watch all of it. They like to watch every podcast and read every message board, and I'm good with it. Again, I appreciate that so much, Nick. Yeah, I mean, Nevada's nailed this thing the whole way, and he gets all the credit in the world for this, and I appreciate all that he does, because he has an impeccable source on this. So it's been amazing. It's been a fun ride. So yeah, like I said, I just appreciate you guys. I appreciate that, Nick. Yeah, I mean, there are people, believe it or not, that don't like us. I know you guys will never believe that, but somehow we keep on trudging on every day, and we just keep on having a great time. Like I said, it doesn't affect me at all. I love it, because it's just I mean, it's not even fuel, because it doesn't matter. It's just something that I love to know that we're at the front of people's minds, and it's usually people I don't even know exist. So that's always a fun fun thing to think about on a Friday night. So as always, if you guys enjoy our content and what we do, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Appreciate you guys kicking it with us a little bit early tonight. We're going to have some dinner with the kids and Kimbo. So again, I just appreciate you guys for all that you guys do, for helping grow our show each and every night. Again, it's something you can do to be really special for us and help us out a lot. Get on your iPhones, click on the podcast app, type in Buckeye Scoop, click subscribe. Super easy to do, super helpful. And I appreciate you guys so very much. So with that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. Hope you guys have a great Friday night. We'll see you guys tomorrow night, 7:10. We will be ready to roll. Go Bucks.